Century of Lies, as well as the flagship show of the Drug Truth Network, Cultural Baggage, and of course our daily 420 Drug War News segments are all available by podcast. The URLs to subscribe are on the network homepage at drugtruth.net. We'll be back in a week with 30 more minutes of news and information about drug policy reform and the failed war on drugs. For the Drug Truth Network, this is Doug McVeigh saying so long. So long! For the Drug Truth Network, this is Doug McVeigh asking you to examine our policy of drug prohibition, the Century of Lies. Drug Truth Network programs archived at the James A. Baker III Institute for Public Policy.
Mark your calendar for Sunday, March 24th when KPFT is throwing a birthday party at the Heights Theater. Get your tickets now at theheightstheater.com. Proceeds benefit your community radio station. Featured performers include award-winning singer-songwriter Ruthie Foster with her soulful mix of blues, folk, rock, and gospel. Legendary mystical honky-tonk singer and panhandle poet Jimmy Dale Gilmore. Guitar-slinging rockabilly Philly Rosie Flores with a simple case of the blues, the Peterson Brothers, who will bring you old school blues, soul, and funk, and the smart soul pop and swinging sound of the 60s from Charlie Faye and the Fayettes. Naboo from Generation Radio will kick things off with a great set of beats. Don't miss the KPFT birthday party Sunday, March 24th at the Heights Theater, 339 West 19th Street. Get your tickets at theheightstheater.com. Thanks for supporting KPFT Houston.
Support KPFT during our 2017 Fall Fund Drive campaign. For over 47 years, we have depended on you to bring you the best radio possible. Your support keeps independent music, news, and ideas on the air. By contributing, you, the listener, enrich the lives and culture of our community, creating moments of wonder that can last a lifetime. Contribute today via phone by calling 713-526-5738 or online at kpft.org. Every inspiring and informative experience you find here on KPFT begins with you. Make a difference today. KPFT Houston.
I ask you to join with me in welcoming my brother. He's no stranger to you, the Southwestern Regional Minister of the Nation of Islam from Houston, Texas. Our brother Abdul, Haleem, Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Welcome to Connect the Dots. I'm your host, Brother Abdul, Haleem Muhammad. You're listening to KPFT Houston, 90.1 on the FM dial, 89.5 in Galveston. If you're listening to us via the World Wide Web, you're listening to us on www.kpft.org. I am the Dots Connector, and of course, you are tuned in to the Pacifica Network. I want to thank, of course, my good friend Dean Becker and the Century of Lies and Cultural Baggage that comes on before Connect the Dots, so make sure you tune in. And don't change that dial at 4 o'clock. You will hear the best jazz ever produced locally from past and present. My good friend Tierney Malone and Houston Jazz Spotlight, 4 o'clock right here on KPFT. That being said, I want to thank each and every one of you who pledged during Pledge Drive. I feel like we came up short. You know how I am. I'm one of those who believe that second place was created to make losers feel better. And I don't like second place to anything. So you can still go online, go on www.kpft.org, make a pledge. And you can make a pledge as little as $25, as much as $250,000 if you so choose. And there is a reason why you should support independent, free speech, free thought radio like KPFT. This past week, I want to thank KPFT and its family for once again supporting the Justice or Else Local Organizing Committee and, of course, United in Peace Houston, which is headed by Reginald Gordon, also known as OG1. Because we had our first of a series of peace rides. And this peace ride took place on Saturday, March the 2nd, started off at 12 o'clock at the high school for Law and Justice there at 3505 Coyle at Scott. I want to thank HISD for their cooperation and allowing us to launch it there. We were there greeted by a whole host of law enforcement. I won't call them law enforcement. At this particular point, they were peace officers. Very interesting. There's the difference, you know. I'll make the difference and the distinction in just a few moments. We were greeted by Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. City Councilman Dwight Boykins was there. Representatives from County Commissioner Precinct 1 Rodney Ellis was there. We thanked them for coming, but more importantly, we were greeted by the hood and those representative and loved by the hood, such as rapper Paul Wall and Trader Truth and K Reno and Cliche and rapper K and Murder One. Oh yeah, I can run it down. And Gangsta Nip. We were all in the house. South Park Coalition, the artist respecting community, Cliche, I think I said her, and others were there. We were led in prayer by Pastor Wendy Turner of Hope Over Hurt. It was just a wonderful event. And then we began to go down in a procession, a peace ride down Scott Street corridor, crossing, of course, the boundaries of the Third Ward, the Upper Third Ward, or they call it the Bottoms, but it's really the Upper Third Ward, what's left of it. And we went down through South Lawn, down to Sunnyside, into South Acres, and we finished at the Greater Grace Outreach Church, headed by Bishop E.L. Usher, who graciously opened up his campus to us. We were led by slab cars. Oh, yeah, we were banging, slow, loud, and banging, you know. It was off the chain. We had Brother Derek Muhammad, the activist, was with us. Just a whole host of people. I'm going to mess up because I'm not mentioning everybody. Minister Tanya Dean of New Horizons Church. I mean, it was just a full throw. There was Latinos there was whites there was blacks there. And you're saying to yourself, how did this take place? How did over 250 cars go down the Scott Street corridor, stopping traffic from 12 to about 1 o'clock with a police escort and a HPD helicopter over us? How did that happen? And you don't know anything about it. That's because the corporate media decided to white us out like they did the civil rights movement in Houston, Texas. What? What do you mean? Did you know that we had sit-in protests just like they had in North Carolina when North Carolina Central students went and sat in at the store counter? Don't you know we had that same thing at Wine Gardens, which is now the post office on Alameda? The Texas Southern University students marched there and sat in there. But do you know it was the office of the mayor at that time, the downtown business interests, and conspiring with the media that they would white it out. They would not report it. That they would decide how they would integrate this city. Yes, this is true history. They integrated the city only because they wanted the black vote to pass the bonds to build the Astrodome. And if they wanted to have a Major League Baseball team, they couldn't have the likes of the great Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, Juan Marichal, and other black and Latino players sleeping in segregated hotels like the the entertainers of the past did. So they decided how they were going to integrate the city. But they weren't going to give any light to the civil rights veterans who fought, went to jail in some cases, were falsely convicted of crimes. There was a shootout at Texas Southern. A policeman was killed by a police bullet. These kind of things took place in Houston. You would think that there was no civil rights movement here. You would think that there was no black power movement here when our brother was shot down on Dowling Street, now known as Emancipation Avenue. They shot our brother from the roof of St. John's Missionary Baptist Church. Police sniper killed our brother. People's Party too. Yes. We had our share of bloodshed and turmoil in this city, but the press decided to white it out. Well, here we are. When Tristan Hutchins was shot outside of the nail shop across the street from Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church between Blodgett and Wheeler on Scott Street, the press was all over it. When he died right before Thanksgiving and we had his funeral, the press was all over it. But here we are. Slab car riders, people on motorcycles, all coming together, rappers, activists, coming together for peaceful purposes, and no corporate media followed it. Brothers and sisters, you have to understand that it is the practice of the media to monitor police radio. There is no way in God's green earth monitoring the police radio that every major intersection on Scott Street going east-west was blocked so that this peace ride could go down. Rappers, slab car riders, usually they run them out of the park. They run them off the street. The police gave them an escort. Blocked every major street so that they could go through and come to greater grace and peace. We want to thank Assistant Chief Troy Finner. We want to thank Assistant Chief Cheryl Victorian. We want to thank Special Operations. We know you out there for two reasons. One was to make sure we got there safe, and over the horizon was the head busters in case we got out of control. We understand, and we know that you were recording and probably filming some of us coming by to see which ones was gangsters. And but I warn you, don't use anything that we do, because you already tore your drawers with us, with your union chief. He tore his drawers with the community, and you all tore your drawers with the no-knock raid that resulted in the death of two innocent people. As far as we're concerned, they're innocent, and their dog, and got 5 policemen wounded. So your drawers are torn. So they did a good deed. They weren't law enforcement. They were peace officers, Big James. Peace officers. They kept the peace. And when it was all said and done, some of those hardcore street people clapped and applauded, because that's the first time, other than a funeral, that HPD gave them a police escort and let them run lights. They ran lights in front of the police. Some of them were shocked, man. I need to stop, man. No, keep going, man. They holding up traffic for you. They let you run the lights. Man, do you know what that did to the hearts of the people? Just softened it at least a little bit towards the police department. Just a little bit. Now, we understand who they are and whose they are, but there are elements within it that are fighting for the good ones in the police department, that are trying not to be law enforcement, because we don't want law enforcement. Remember, slavery was legal. Slavery was legal at one time. Segregation was legal at one time. Y'all know that, right? And they enforced the law. The war on drugs is and was legal. They enforced it, and they locked us up and threw away the key. 3 strikes, we was in. We don't need law enforcement, particularly if you're going to enforce wicked laws. We need peace officers. They're going to keep the peace. And when we do something right, Make sure that we are protected like you protect white folks in River Oaks and Memorial. And if people want to have their fun runs or whatever, Easter egg hunts or whatever they want to do, you make sure you block off the streets, you take care of them, you look after them. Do that same thing for the hood. Because it takes the hood to save the hood. And heretofore, you haven't been able to save the hood. So why don't you allow those who are in the hood, who know the hood, to do what's good in the hood, is particularly if we're trying to fight against violence and the killing that's going on in the hood. And more importantly, it's not what we're against. Yes, we're against violence. Any sane man's going to be against violence except for in self-defense. But we got sane people who want to build family, who want to build community, who want to promote a 21st century education for 21st century children, who want to promote community-based economic development and want to hit the reset button on the police department so that we can have peace officers and not law enforcement. This is what we're going to have to do, mighty Houston. This is H-Town, baby. So, put this on your calendar. Save the date. Easter Sunday, April 21st. Peace Ride 2. I'm giving you the clue. You'll hear it right here. We'll announce the time and the place on this station right here, KPFT. So keep your powder dry. Now, what I want you to do is this. I am so sick of Hollywood. What they're doing to Michael Jackson 10 years after his death is a crime and a travesty. It is disgusting. The man was under FBI surveillance for almost a decade. They found nothing. The FBI, y'all. They went through all of his stuff to see if he was a child molester. Found nothing. They put him on trial. Found nothing. Now, 2 accusers. HBO gives them money for 2 accusers, 2 broke behind accusers. Oh, I almost said something. Almost slipped, T. Almost slipped. 2 broke. HBO gave money. Why? What is this? What is going? Brothers and sisters, look, listen to me. This is a station that we have LGBTQ programs on this station. And you've got the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's Southwest Regional Student Minister, Dr. Abdul Haleem Muhammad, on the same station. I want you to listen very well. This destruction of black males is absolutely got my stomach turned. Bill Cosby. They go back, reach back, go back and get some stuff from before. Well, from years ago. R. Kelly, not defending it. He was wrong. He got to stand for what he did. Bill Cosby's wrong. He got to stand for what he did. But now Michael Jackson, what is going on, y'all? What is happening? You talk about toxic masculinity. How about toxic demasculinity? What's wrong with being a man, being an avowed heterosexual? I'm not cramming your space. Then why are you trying to destroy mine and my image? What's wrong with that? Why was the brother, what's his name, Terry, the actor? What's his name? Terry Crews. Why was he made to apologize for saying that black boys need a strong father image? What the hell? What? Are you kidding me? What is this? So, hey, look, we're just going to have to meet on this subject and have it out. Because there's some things I'm never going to relent on. I raised 4 sons. Man. I grew up without a father. I know what it's like not having a father in the household. I grew up in a strong matriarchal family. I thank God for my mother and my grandmother, my auntie, and all of them. I do. but I also had strong male mentors in my life. One of which, of course, is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who I met at 19 years old as a college student. I thank God for Dr. Walter Jennings McCoy of Texas Southern University. He was one of my mentors as I went through academia to get my master's and my PhD. I thank the brothers of Groove 5 Groove Social Fellowship Incorporated, those brothers, those strong male brothers that was part of my life. I thank God for for Mr. Walter Carter, who was of the Washington Heights Boys League when I grew up in New York. And he taught me baseball, Little League Baseball. He had a Little League Baseball team. Yeah. I thank God for that. I thank God for Father Gorman of the Catholic Church. He didn't molest me. I asked him, I said, Father, can I marry Mary Edwards and grow up and be a priest? He said, no, my son. I said, well, priesthood wasn't for me. I loved me some Mary Edwards when I was in 7th grade. She was in 8th grade. She was my girlfriend, Big Jane. I thank God for Coach Carl O. Baker in high school. He was a line coach. I played offense. I was an undersized right offensive tackle in high school for the Middle Township Panthers. But he was like, he was a great mentor. I had them all in my life. My godfather, John Alford. I had great mentors. I had my big brother, Herb McMillan, my big brother. I had good, strong mentors. My Uncle Jeff. My Uncle Raymond. All of these great men in my life. And I'm probably forgetting somebody, and somebody's going to get mad, but they understand what I'm saying. My brothers and my sisters, look, we got to cut out the nonsense, man. Cut out the nonsense. Hollywood is out of control. It always has been, but even worse now. Mr. Farrakhan was asked, and I urge all of you to go on finalcallstore.com and get the Teachings 2.0. These are Minister Farrakhan's sayings and answers to questions submitted to him on Twitter and Facebook from 2000. Let me give you the dates here. He answered questions via Twitter and Facebook between May 2012 to December 2012, and it's contained in this book. And he was asked a question about Hollywood. He said, Hollywood still seems to be thriving, in my opinion. Do you think that Hollywood's wealth would also be broken in the fall of America? Minister Farrakhan, it is being broken as we speak. Hollywood is where most movies were made, but movies are now being made in many cities and towns in America and outside of America, not in Hollywood. And there are other studios now coming up to make money. And then, of course, Hollywood gets some of it through distribution. But even Hollywood is not as rich as it once was. When a world comes down, everything in that world comes down. So as we look at these made-for-TV documentaries, Surviving R. Kelly, Never Neverland, or whatever it was called, Surviving Neverland. All of these things, what are these designed to do? So look, I'm going to save this last 8 minutes for what I got to say here. And I do care that you, put it like this. I do care that if I offend you, I do care. But if the truth offends you, then you're going to have to deal with it. I'm concerned about the life of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. They're threatening her life now. Ilhan Omar. They're threatening her life. The FBI is investigating threats against her life. They're smearing her, accusing her of being an anti-Semite because she has the nerve to expose AIPAC, the Israeli lobby that has bought our Congress lock, stock, and barrel. She doesn't feel that she should have to pledge allegiance to Israel in order to be on the Foreign Relations Committee of the House of Representatives. She doesn't think it's right that any American should have to pledge fidelity or faithfulness to any foreign nation in order to serve in the United States Congress. She never said a thing about Jews. She spoke against the Netanyahu government, who is absolutely imposing modern-day apartheid on the Palestinian people. And the United Nations report said that they were guilty of war crimes, of purposely targeting children and journalists in Gaza. So if I speak out against that, I'm anti-Semitic? No. I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm anti-human rights violations. What I am. I'm anti anything that's against what the great Thomas Jefferson, I said the great Thomas Jefferson said about these inalienable truths. We hold these truths to be inalienable. That among these is what? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are inalienable truths. That means you can't make them strange to the human being. These so-called pseudo-conservatives, the Sean Hannitys of the world, you make my stomach turn because you're traitors. You sold this nation to a foreign nation. My father's a World War II veteran, man. He had to ride. If he was on the same train with German prisoners of war, he would have had to ride on the back of the train. The hell with you, man. You traitors. You sold out to a foreign nation. And you expect us to keep quiet? I'll tell you what. Run somebody against her. Give all the money you can. Run somebody against her in the primary. Run somebody against her in the general election if she still prevails in the primary. But her life is sacred. Hands off, Representative Omar, ADL. Hands off, AIPAC. We're telling you, man, you're being exposed today because of this push for anti-Semitism. It's anti-Semitism. It's anti-Semitism. Now the people say, wait a minute, what? She never said Jews. In none of her statements, she never said Jews. So why this knee-jerk reaction? Why are you saying that she's saying that Jews have dual loyalty? She never said that. That wasn't even her point. So now you're trying to make her apologize, and she's digging in now. Remember what they did to Cynthia McKinney? She stood up. They destroyed her. Trafficant. The cat out of Ohio. He had that weird hairdo. He made Donald Trump type hairdo. He was out of Ohio. He was on the floor of the Congress. Said, "Beam me up, Scotty." This boy was flamboyant. But he just laid it out before he died. He laid out what happened to him. In keeping a man from being executed in Israel, they falsely accused him of being a prison guard, a death camp guard. And they got him from Ohio, extradited him. He went over there with the evidence from the Justice Department, and the Supreme Court of Israel freed the man, but he was never forgiven for that. You see, brothers and sisters, Minister Farrakhan is not an anti-Semite. He's not. Never was and never will be. Neither am I. Don't hate Jews. Not at all. Salvation is of the Jews, the scriptures say. But you got to be that. You can't say what you're not. You can't pretend to be what you're not. The Jew is not the Jew inwardly. Outwardly, the Jew is the Jew outwardly, not by the circumcision of the male organ, but the circumcision of your heart. So you got to clean up your own house. If you don't want us talking about you, then clean up your own house. And leave that sister alone. And leave us alone. We don't want to be dragged into a war into the Middle East. that's going to be the war of Armageddon, a war in which our soldiers and sailors and Marines and Air Force people will go over there by the thousands, and they're only going to come back by the dozens. We don't want that, sister and brother. We don't want that at all. So a hit piece is put in the National Review. The National Review, man, that paper is defunct. That magazine's defunct, man. The National Review. It's a neocon mouthpiece that dragged George W. Bush into a war in Iraq, even though they didn't attack us at 9/11. The neocons that put us in this war, this perpetual war. And now you're trying to get America to attack Iran. Let Israel fight that war if that's what she wanted to do. We're not going to be a proxy for them. You destroy Syria. You want to destroy the Lebanon. Destroying Yemen, Somalia, Libya. Who's next? Who's next? When that thing pops off, it's going to be unstoppable. It's going to drag China and Russia into it, and it will be an absolute worldwide calamity and catastrophe. I make this final point, brothers and sisters. If you don't like what I'm saying, keep watching the weather. As the plot thickens, the weather reflects the plot that's against Minister Farrakhan and all truth sayers. So we say, hands off, Representative Omar. We say to Nancy Pelosi, don't do it, Madam Speaker. And if you do this anti-Semitic condemnation, then make sure you do it against these Islamophobic ones too. Because there have been as many hate crimes against Muslims and black people than there have been against Jewish people. So, I said my piece. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we got our resident scholar, the Dots Connector himself, Dr. Gerald Horn from the University of Houston. He's going to give us the roundtable because this is International Women's Month. Be right back with more Connect the Dots.
That's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Now that ain't working. That's the way you do it. Let me tell you, damn guys ain't dumb. Maybe get a blister on your little finger. Maybe get a blister on your thumb. We got to install microwave ovens, custom kitchen delivery.
right, welcome back to Connect the Dots. Make sure you tune in every Sunday right here on KPFT. If you want to hear the Queen of Radio, Akua Holt, she comes on at 8 o'clock Sundays right here on KPFT, and you can listen to Pan-African Journal. Also, tonight at 9 o'clock, make sure you get some of the best of hip-hop radio right here. We've got, of course, K-Reno Radio. On the line, we have the one, the only resident scholar of the Connect the Dots radio show, Dr. Gerald Horn of the University of Houston, the publisher of, I think, over 40 books, probably going on 42 right now. He be doing them two at a time now. He's so tough. But it's International Women's Month, and we want to make sure that we have women of note, of course, of history and of current affairs. As our representative Omar is my hero right now, my heroine right now. So, Dr. Horn, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Man, go on and connect some dots. It's on you.
Well, first of all, I'm standing alongside Congresswoman Omar in the light of this ferociously unfair attack upon her. However, I do think this episode is revealing because it reveals and exposes that the Israeli lobby may be a giant with feet of clay. That is to say, the fight back against their attack has been quite tremendous. Even the New York Times yesterday had a rather fair and balanced assessment of the so-called Israeli lobby and quoted a number of her supporters. I was taken aback by that. So I think that she might be opening a new departure, and I think we all should salute her for that. Now, in light of this Women's Month, I would be remiss if I didn't mention my own contribution to this, my biography of Shirley Graham Du Bois, who your listeners may know better as the spouse of W.E.B. Du Bois, but in her own right, she was a biographer, she was a playwright, she was a composer, she directed Ghana television under Kwame Nkrumah, had this very innovative plan to put TV monitors in villages all throughout Ghana, West Africa. And after the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah, she lived in Cairo, Egypt, and was present at the time of the piratical Six-Day War between Israel and Egypt, filing communiques that turned up in newspapers all over the world. I should also mention, in terms of those in the land of the living, Cicely Tyson, now 94 years old. I'm sure you recall Cicely Tyson, the great actor. You may recall as well the director, Ava DuVernay.
Yes.
All of your listeners should watch her documentary 13th about the prison industrial complex, which has entrapped and ensnared so many of our brothers and sisters. It is available all over the place, and it's quite educational and quite rewarding. So these are just a few of the sisters that I would care to depict during these brief moments I have on Connect the Dots.
Well, look here. I know it's Women's Month, but I definitely want to ask you about the great summit in Hanoi, Vietnam, between His Majesty Donald J. Trump and Kim Jong-un, who was never going to give up his nukes after watching what happened to Iraq and Libya and now what's going on in Venezuela. So talk to us about that, Dr. Horn.
Well, I think that latter point needs underscoring. Recall that it was only months ago that the National Security Advisor to the 45th President, I'm speaking of John Bomber Bolton, was entered into the doghouse of the White House justifiably after he suggested that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea should give up its nuclear weapons so that it could walk in the footsteps of Libya. You might recall that after Mr. Gaddafi gave up his nuclear weapons, it made Libya more vulnerable to the 2011 NATO and U.S. attacks that led to its overthrow and murder. I think Mr. Trump, in his usual sort of narcissistic manner, has put too much credence into his own personality, his own alleged ability to convince Chairman Kim to do something that is not in Chairman Kim's interest. And you may have heard the latest news that Washington is now charging that the DPRK is moving full speed ahead in terms of arming itself, according to Washington, in anticipation of a possible U.S. offensive maneuver. I think that it's fair to say that this summit in Hanoi, North Korea, from Washington's point of view, from Mr. Trump's point of view, was a failure, and it was quite remarkable to watch the split screen as his former fixer and attorney, Michael Cohen, denounced him as a racist, a con man, and a cheat on one side of the screen, as Mr. Trump was failing in Hanoi on the other side of the screen.
My. So as we go forward and we see the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, just being dragged, maybe not dragged, maybe she's doing voluntarily to do this anti-Semitism rebuke of Representative Omar. As you said, it opened up this thing where the people's eyes are now opening to how their government has been sold and is being run out of Tel Aviv.
Well, it's quite remarkable that in 2015, in the midst of sensitive negotiations between the Obama administration and the regime in Tehran, Iran, that Prime Minister Netanyahu came to Washington at the behest of the Republicans, the opposition's, the sworn foe of Mr. Obama, and gave a speech to Congress denouncing what Mr. Obama was trying to do. This was an extraordinary intervention and interference in the internal affairs of a so-called superpower, the United States of America. It reminds me of what Bill Clinton once said about Israel. That is to say, who's the superpower here? Is it this small country of less than 10 million, or is it the United States of America of 330 million? In any event, Washington is entering a crisis phase. It's obvious that the European Union will not follow Washington with regard to its offensive against Iran. It's clear that China and Russia will not follow the United States of America. And so Israel and the United States, and perhaps Saudi Arabia, are out there on a limb, and it's up to us to saw off that limb behind them.
Dr. Gerald Horn, as always, what's the latest book that's in the birthing chamber right now? What is it?
Well, it's interesting. Within 2 or 3 weeks, my book, White Supremacy Confronted, U.S. Imperialism and Anti-Communism versus the Liberation of Southern Africa, from Rose to Mandela, will drop. And about 3 or 4 weeks after that, Jazz and Justice, Racism, the Political Economy of the Music, will drop.
I see. Abu, didn't I tell you he had 2 in the pipeline? This man has more books. He writes more books than Alien has babies in the movies. I'm telling you, man. They just be popping out. I'm loving this brother. Brother Gerald Horn, we thank you for always being available for Connect the Dots. Where you traveling to? Don't tell us, man. I don't want your security compromised, bro. Just go do what you got to do, man.
No. I'm speaking to you actually from New Orleans for the National Council of Black Studies meeting.
The National Council of Black Studies meeting right after Fat Tuesday. Oh, okay.
Exactly.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying this is Ash Wednesday, but it was Fat Tuesday yesterday. Well, I'm glad you made it on the show, Doc, and I hope you're having a good time. You know, that food is good down there, so enjoy yourself.
Right on, and thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Gerald Horn, of course, Connect the Dots. All right, so look, I said a lot. I usually don't get a chance to talk to y'all like I used to, man. It's 2019. When I used to have an hour-and-a-half show, Don, Godfather, when I had an hour-and-a-half show, I could bloviate for a half hour. I could have my guests for a half hour, and then I would let the Connect the Dots crew call in. So, look, I got about 10, 15 minutes. I want to hear from you. 713-526-5738, 713-526-KPFT. Give me a call. I want to talk to you right now. 713-526-5738, 713-526-KPFT. You can call from wherever you are in the country. You know, cell phone, man, you don't buy by the minutes anymore. Come on now. You can call long distance. I got some of my classmates from high school that listening to me on Connect the Dots. 713-526-5738, 713-526-KPFT. Give us a call right now if you want to get in and get a couple comments in, because I want to hear from you. I miss you out there in Connect the Dots land. But nonetheless, I'm still going to keep on talking until you do. Okay, so look. This is where we are right now. We have to organize. We have to get organized. So, look, every Thursday at 7 p.m., Shape Community Center, 3815 Live Oak, the Justice or Else Organizing Committee, of which gave birth to United in Peace Houston, and the Peace Rides, and, of course, the Victory Wellness and Nutrition Program, 21st Century Education Program. We have the Artists Respecting Community. We have the 10,000 Fearless Emergency Response Team. We have New Horizon Church. We have Hope Over Hurt. We have the Church of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. It's across the board there. We got the young people. We got the elders. We got everybody meeting together, man, organizing. We're organizing ourselves to be free. So we invite you out. Come on out tomorrow night as we putting together our after action report of the first Peace Ride. As I said again, the second Peace Ride will be on Sunday, April the 21st. And we'll tell you the time and the place. Look for the afternoon. It's going to be Easter Sunday. So 713-526-5738, 713-526-KPFT. Let's hear from you. Were you part of the Peace Ride? Did you witness the Peace Ride? Did you see any of our social media posts on the Peace Ride? Who's that? Line 1. Come on.
Hey, hey, brother Muhammad. It's good to hear from you, man. Thanks for opening up the line. I'm gonna be real brief to let other folks get in. But I listen to you every week, man. I be trying to hit people up on Facebook to turn on KPFT every Wednesday at 3:00. But this is one of my concerns, brother. Okay, Stephen Clark up in California was murdered by the killer cop shot in the back. When a black person, Marissa Alexander up in Florida, was getting abused by her husband, she was claiming self-defense. She fired a gun in the air for a warning shot. She went to jail. So I'm just saying, man, people be wondering why we as a race are always upset, always angry, because it's not no justice out here, brother. But I want to commend you and others like OG, Reginald Gordon, and all those that participated in the Peace Ride Saturday. Keep on doing what y'all doing, man. God bless you, Brother Muhammad. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Samuel, connect the dots.
Hey, how's it going, Brother Muhammad?
Man, if it gets any better, I get paranoid, man. Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, so speaking of paranoid, it's just kind of funny how nowadays, we're saying it's 2019, but nobody's talking about nuclear disarmament. No one's talking about, any elaborate plans to help reboot the homeostasis of the earth, because it seems evidently we are screwing ourselves over for imminent doom. And to have nukes on the table is just an exacerbating force of how quickly we can destroy ourselves. So I guess in just a brief summary, how do you think we should go about negotiating peacefully to disarm slowly but surely?
I think, Samuel, the most important thing is for you and me and those of us who are in communication with one another here locally or within the sound of our voice, for us to make peace. We may have different opinions on different things, but we shouldn't fall out. Say for instance, you're a vegan and I like chicken wings.
Okay. Yes, you are actually correct.
And so, but we agree on 9 other things other than that. Should we fall out about chicken wings versus tofu, or should we stand together on protecting the environment, stand together on no more war, stand together on ending poverty, stand together on educational excellence, stand together, you understand what I'm saying, on criminal justice reform?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's how we do it, Samuel. That's how we do it. And together we're more powerful than we are apart. Man, thank you for your call.
Thank you so much.
All right. Let's go to this next call. Johnny!
Hey, Brother Robert, do you know if the
Connect the
Nation of
dots.
Islam has any policy officially encouraging or discouraging its various ministers for running for public office in their jurisdiction?
No. Mm-mm. There's no. We've had many who have run for office, and in fact, we got a mayor in Benton Harbor, Michigan. Marcus Muhammad is the mayor of Benton Harbor, Michigan.
Okay, well, I don't mean to put more on your plate than you can handle. I know you still got your kids. You're still paying for college or whatever. But
No, they grown, man. They gone. I kicked them out the house.
Because the state of Texas is in severe trouble. We cannot have another Ted Cruz in John Cornyn's spot. So I would like you or someone that you trust to announce for that office, because we cannot afford another Republican in the state of Texas. We've got to displace these bastards.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for that call.
I'll be the first one to donate to your campaign.
Well, thank you. That's one vote. I'm gonna vote for myself. That's two. I hope I can get my wife to vote for me. That'd be three.
Now, who from KPFT land will volunteer to be your treasurer? Someone who's got smarts about handling money, so you can concentrate yourself on the issues at hand.
Thank you, Brother Johnny. I appreciate that, man. I really do.
I'm serious as a triple bypass.
Man, I know you are, man. You don't see me. I'm not clowning you, man. I'm saying thank you.
And you know that rule about what's it called, Murphy's Law? That does not apply to you. You will not be rising to a new level of incompetence. That's well within your wheelhouse.
Thank you. Let me get this other call, John.
Abrams, you all need to be in office, and we need to displace these morons, Republicans, out.
All right,
Have a
my
good
friend.
day.
Thank you. All right, let's get Dr. Ann Lundy on the line, because you know what? The Community Music Center got something they want to let you know about. Doc.
Hey, how's it going, Minister?
You know how it is.
All right. Good. Can I tell you about our upcoming free voice program for the kids?
What? Free?
Yes.
Free?
Free.
F-R-E-E?
From the City of Houston, we are grateful, Houston Arts Alliance.
Go ahead.
And the Emancipation Park Conservancy. We are starting a free voice program for kids. It's going to be on Mondays and Wednesdays after school, 3:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Emancipation Park. And I think a lot of us know where that is now. Emancipation Park, the address is 3018 Emancipation Avenue and 77004. And we just want the kids to come out and enjoy, learn how to express themselves. We all sing, like in the bathroom, or sing while we're driving our cars. Or
yeah, that's all us singing I'm going to do.
It's an opportunity for people to, learn how to sing different things and try different styles, and, free for the kiddies.
All right. So give us the time, place again. All
righty. We just started this week, although we're going to continue. So check with us next week. It is Mondays and Wednesdays after school, 3:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. And it is at Emancipation Park, the Cultural Center on Emancipation Avenue, 3018 Emancipation Avenue. And we take them from the little ones, beginning with the first graders. I think we started with the kindergartners. And take the little ones all the way up to the high school ones. So come on out, bring the kiddies, bring the grandkids, bring the niece, nephew, and, just have some fun learning how to sing.
All right. Now, that's what I'm talking about.
All right. But can I give you our number in case they want to call us?
Will you please?
All right. Anytime you want to call, we're the Community Music Center of Houston. Our number for Community Music Center is 713-523-9710. Repeating, 713-523-9710.
All right, Dr. Ann Lundy, thank you.
And check us out online, too. Thank you so much.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye-bye. All right, Connect the Dots crew, look. I want to thank also the National Chairman of the National Black United Front, Brother Kofi Taharka. I want to thank also John Clear. I want to thank Calandria, who represents the Village of Mothers, and all of those women who and parents and siblings who lost loved ones who stood with us and gave testimony. We thank you at the Peace Rally. Again, we want to thank Bishop E.L. Usher and the Greater Grace Outreach Church family at 10,800 Scott Street. And there's plenty of others. And, of course, I've given thanks to HBD and for being peace officers on that day. We really thank you, sincerely. So, I think the mayor has announced, Abu, that he's running for mayor again for re-election. So it's on like popcorn. So let's get it on, y'all. Do what you do. Now, all you Closet Nation of Islam followers, you go to www.noi.org on Sunday at 10 a.m. and hear the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You can do it in the privacy of your own home, on your smartphone, on your iPad, and nobody has to know. Or you Aboriginals, you come on out to 4443 Old Spanish Trail. Come on out and be with us on Sunday at 10 a.m. We're going to take up a subject this week that I think you want to hear. Shape Community Center, 7 o'clock, local organizing committee. Let's get organized so we can get free. Remember, brothers and sisters, disorganized love can be overcome by organized hate. So as we close out this program, remember, go to www.kpft.org and please contribute to Connect the Dots. You don't have to stop making a pledge. You don't have to stop supporting this program just because the pledge drive is over. I still got some ground to make up, and I'm a faithful team player because I do appreciate the opportunity of being on the people's sacred airwaves. So we got Mr. T. He's sitting in, helping True Blue with the music and working the ones and the twos. We breaking him in. He's doing his thing. He's doing a pretty good job, too. So look here. Want to say this to you. Stay tuned for Tierney Malone and make sure the Houston Jazz Spotlight, that's coming up at 4 o'clock right here on KPFT. So that being said, remember this, brothers and sisters. They, them, and theirs can never overcome us, our, and we, as long as we'll subordinate I, me, and mine. So until next week, brothers and sisters, remember this. We love you and ain't nothing you can do about it. So may Allah bless you as though divine Delphonics take me out as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.